Okay, now it's the day after sanding or priming our Slick Sand by Evercoat, the sprayable polyester primer. Um, and we're going ahead and blocking it down. I've got one fender blocked down, and I started with 150, and I could tell it was going to kind of take a long time to cut, so I knocked it up to some 80. And then what I'm doing is re-guide coating and finishing it out 150, and I'm going to go ahead and put 3 coats of urethane primer on top. But let's take a look at what we got. Right here sits the left fender. I've got it guide coated. It did have a tendency to lay out a little bit smoother as it kind of cured up. I was getting a little bit of peel when I was spraying, and after thinking about the spraying a little bit, I realized that I probably could have pounded it on there a little bit heavier, but being new to it, I just took it a little bit easy. Over here we've got the right fender all sanded down and finished out in 150, and this definitely did build and block out some stuff that I wouldn't have been able to had not used it. So we're going to hit it with 3 coats of a urethane primer, and I don't see any reason why this thing wouldn't be ready for paint after that. However, this car is being done in stages, and so we are only going to have it painted on the jambs and in final prime on the exterior. And then we'll probably shoot some undercoating under there, and it'll be ready to sit on the car. So we're waiting for the paint tech rep. I think he said he might be able to stop by today, and I've got 2 areas. I know that there's no plastic filler whatsoever here. There's just about a half a mil of epoxy primer and then 3 coats of that Evercoat Slick Sand throughout here. So we're going to put the digital mill gauge there, and the same thing on this main section right through here. We'll put the digital mill gauge here, so that'll be the blocked and the non-blocked, and we'll kind of see what we're dealing with as far as mill thickness. Alright, Rick couldn't stop by, but he went ahead and lent us his digital Highline mill thickness gauge, and let's just check it on bare steel here. 0.2 mils, so that's, you know, pretty accurate. Let's check it on the non-block surface. 23, so there's probably some body work there. 11.9, 13.1, 12.6. So we know that that's about where we're at. And then in the same place on this fender that's blocked, we're getting 5.7, 6.1, 5.4, let's try it up here, 6.1, that's 14, and we know there's some body work right there. So that's what we're getting. We must be getting like about 6 mils worth of build between blocked and unblocked on average. Now, just as a reference, you'll notice that a lot of restored nice finishes have thicker mill build. Now, don't quote me on this, but I believe a factory finish from, let's rephrase that. I believe that a finish from the factory is somewhere between 3 and 6 mils, somewhere in that range, probably closer to 5 and 6 mils. I think your average coat of clear is maybe 1.2 mils, somewhere in there. So you're figuring your sealer coat, your few coats of base coat's barely any mill thickness at all. It's probably 0.5 mil thickness. And then generally factory, I believe, is 2 coats of clear. So yeah, I think you're talking 5, 6, 7 mils, somewhere in there. So I think you find if you put a mill gauge on any show car finish or any restoration, you won't find a mill thickness of anywhere near 5 to 7 mils or 3 to 5 mils or anything like that. I think our finishes range up there probably closer, by the time they're cut and buffed and finaled out, probably closer to maybe 15 to 20-ish, probably 17 mils, somewhere in there. So let's see, by the time we get a little bit of urethane primer on this, jam paint it, we'll be ready to ship it to Tom so he can put it on his car. Let's see how it sands. So I've been using the 80 grit to cut it and finishing it out with the 150 for our next coat of primer. And it looks like we put on an average of about 12 mils, which is probably about 4 mils per coat. And I was looking at the technical data sheets, and it said you can put upwards of 6 mils per coat. So we probably technically could have put up to 18 mils on this, which is kind of crazy. Looks like we got a little dent here. We got some guide coat sprayed down and some 150 grit on the Durablock. And I'm not just saying that. There you are. Alright, we're all blocked out in 150. And we're going to put RM's DP26 down, put 3 coats of that. Now, when RM says that it's a direct to metal primer or a DTM primer, that means if you got a little spot of metal showing that you're good to go, because there is lead chromate in it. But if you had a full strip panel, like a sandblasted panel, and it was all bare metal, you're going to need the etch or you're going to need the epoxy. So let's get this thing going. Okay, and it seems like I get this question on every video. When I'm shooting my primer, I shoot at about 22 pounds. And I set my pressure over at the regulator on the wall, and I just fine-tune the last pound or two here at the regulator on the gun. So, right there. Okay, a fellow by the name of GJ, last initial starts with P. You question 68 Firebird sheet metal replacement, and the truth of the matter is you could cut it all both your quarters and your tail panel off and put it on, or you could do it one piece at a time. There's really no right and wrong way to do it as long as it ends up in the right spot. If it were me, I don't really change quarter panels on jack stands and do all that stuff down. Luxury, being at Photo Finish and having a restoration shop, we got the Chief frame bench, so I can just go ahead and clamp the car down and make sure it stays secure. I would be, I can't say if I'd be concerned with, I mean, it's not like I haven't changed quarter panels on jack stands in the past, and it can be done. And I don't know. I mean, whatever you feel confident in doing, go for it. If you're concerned that the car is going to move around, then sure. Replace a quarter panel, move over to the other side and replace that one. How's that for help? No, just kidding. Alright, let's see. Maybe I can dig up a couple more questions here. Hang on a sec. Okay, so Messy Laura, everybody knows Bobby out there. Excellent part of YouTube. Commenting alone, sure, great. You don't make videos all that much, but if you're not listening to Messy Laura's comments, then you're not listening to some good sound advice. Question was, when we switched from using edge primer to epoxy, what benefits did we have? It wasn't like it was sold as some sort of benefit when we switched over to epoxy. I think there was some concern that, and this is funny to even say it because I know different now, but there was some concern that acid etch primer took an activator, and there was some concern that that could be a little bit broken down by solvents. And I mean, you take a little bit of lacquer thinner on a paper towel and you wipe down etch, and you can wipe it off. And we all know about lacquer-based products and all this, and so it was a concern when we switched to epoxy that we thought that the epoxy wasn't going to be like that. Now I know that epoxy takes an activator just the same. I used to have a belief that activators, hardeners, catalysts, I was like, call it what you want, it's all the same thing. Don't believe that's the case. I believe the catalyst is a hardener, so yeah, maybe catalyst and hardener is the same. I don't believe an activator is the same as a hardener. I could be wrong about that. But like on the Dart here, the Glazeret high build dry sand urethane primer, I could wipe that baby all day long with lacquer thinner, and I don't believe it has a major effect on it at all. So that's why we switched. That was what the concern was. Let's see. Made me feel good that Mr. Sanchez, Henry Sanchez, chimed in about the feather fill. It's nice to see people that there's people that I trust out there on YouTube, and Sanchez is definitely one. And so I've seen the quality of the work that's produced there, and you can just tell when someone does a good quality job. Just like the reason for me even trying polyester filler in the beginning. I know that Slow SRT, YouTube user Slow SRT, produces a good quality product. And when I was talking to him and, you know, following what he listened to, I researched it. I had to find out what was what. And if I can bring my finishes better, quicker, faster, why not? Why am I not going to do that? If I can take a finish that would normally take me, generally our show car finishes can range anywhere from 300, 350 to 600 and plus. I mean, the world is your oyster, and that's hours, labor hours, 350. So let's say I can take a 350-hour labor job, replacing quarter panels, all kinds of crazy-ass sheet metal stuff, doing all our body work, priming and blocking that baby out beautifully, straight, painting it, cutting and buffing it. If I can knock 30, 40 hours out of that, that is awesome. Because let me tell you something, busting ass and saving an hour here and there, that helps. but it doesn't quite add up to something that if you can take off a major chunk of doing these finishes, it makes it more affordable for everybody to do. I gotta be for it. All right, enough rambling, enough spitting off at the mouth. We're gonna go ahead and end this one here. You saw it. We primed with our Evercoat Slick Sand. Seems to be good. Seems to. I'm running out of time. We'll catch you on the next one. Good stuff.